Welcome to How to Become a Production SQL Database Administrator. My name is Raphael. In the previous videos, we looked at how to back up a database, and we demonstrated through manually through either GUI or through scripts how to manually take a full database backup, how to take a differential backup, and how to take a transactional log backup. And obviously, one thing you'll notice is I was doing that manually through the GUI, or I was manually doing it through using a T-SQL script. Obviously, in a production environment, we don't want to do that. We want to automate the system so the SQL Server itself does it rather than we manually doing it. And the way we do that is using the SQL Server agent, which is a great feature. Before I get into that, talking about SQL Server agent, I want to demonstrate using what's called a maintenance plan. So if you go under Management, expand it, you'll see a folder called Maintenance Plans. Now, maintenance plans are a very quick way to do some backups and a few other tasks against the database. And for demonstration purposes, I'm going to illustrate that. But most likely in a production environment, you'll be probably creating backup plans yourself that requires a little more detail. But this will give you certainly an example of what to do. So I'm going to go right-click Maintenance Plan, and you'll have two choices. New Maintenance Plan. New maintenance plans, which gives you the option of selecting the tasks yourself, or you can select the maintenance plan wizard, which will direct you through a step-by-step. So for our purposes, we're going to use the wizard, and I'm going to go next. And what I'm going to do with this system maintenance plan is to back up the system databases as an example. And even in a production environment, actually, this is fine because I've used it in a production, and this is more than adequate for at least the system databases that are relatively small in size. So I'm going to call this System Backups. And obviously, we want to make sure that the SQL agent service count is running. And you can certainly see that immediately here, that the agent is running because he has a green arrow. If you've not started the service, this will be red. So make sure that that is turned on. You can obviously set the tasks, which we'll be seeing in a second. And you can set separate schedules if we need to. Or we can have a single schedule for the entire plan. For our purposes, since we're doing a system backups of all the databases, a single schedule is fine. So I'm going to go next. And I'll show you how to change it if we want to. So go next. These are the tasks that the maintenance plan wizard can do. The one we're interested in, obviously, is the full database backup. So just check that and go next. This is the order it's going to do it. Obviously, if there's multiple tasks we've chosen, we can select up and down. But since we've only selected one task, so we're going to go next. And then this window pops up. Now, the first thing is we're going to decide which databases to back up with this maintenance plan. The options are all the databases, including the system databases, or just the system databases, excluding all the user-defined databases, or everything here except the system databases. Or you can obviously designate specific ones, and these are obviously the user-defined that we've created. For this purposes, I'm just going to use the system databases, and I'm going to go OK. One thing to note here is you'll see this checkbox. It says ignore databases where the state is not online. So if any of the user-defined databases you have offline and you don't check this, you may get an error. So it's advisable to do that even if you haven't. So I usually just check it for safety reasons. So go OK. Obviously, you'll have this option here, backup set will expire in. If you select this, and you can select the days it will expire. I usually do it through a batch file, so I don't select that. Here, you'll notice it says create a backup file for every database. Now, obviously, if you want, we have three system databases that are going to be backed up, the master, the MSDB, and the model. If you want subdirectories or each directories for each one of them, then you press this, and they'll be made subdirectories under the backup. Since they're relatively small and they're going to be defaulted to this, I don't usually check them for system databases. But for the other ones, I may choose that. Verify the integrity, the backup integrity. That's a good thing to do, certainly. We've discussed that before. And so I'm going to go next. And just the reports option, just go leave it to default and go next. And it's going to give you the completion option, and we'll just go finish. And then the plan is created. So let's close this. If you'll notice now, obviously there's the system backup plan. If you right click it, you can view the history. Obviously there's no history of it because we haven't done anything to it. We can modify it if we want, and that comes up like this. And I'll show you that in a second. And then obviously you can execute it here or rename it also. And you can obviously, if you wanted to modify it, you can just double click it or go modify. These are obviously the other tasks that I was talking about that you can do manually, and we'll demonstrate that in another video. But for our purposes, let's go over here and look at what's going on here. If you double click this, you can edit what you just looked, the task for the full database backup. You can edit it again. One thing obviously I meant to say is make sure obviously that we're doing it for our demonstration purposes, directing the backup to drive C. Obviously in a production environment, you want a separate hard drive for your backups, as I've mentioned that many times before. You'll see the backup extension is BAK. Leave it as BAK. You can change it, but there's no reason to. And make sure you don't see a period. Sometimes you'll see snapshots in other directories or other videos where it says back. Make sure you actually take that back off. And then another nice thing to do is go click here, view T-SQL. This will give you the actual T-SQL task that is generated in the background, and it's a great learning tool. By no means you don't need to memorize this, but it'll just give you an idea of what's going on. And there's the backup database for the master, the model, and the MSDB. And then this rest here actually is this part. It's verifying the backup integrity. So you can always learn a lot from there. So close. Go OK, and that's it. Now obviously if I wanted to set a schedule, which I'm going to right now, you can do it here. And obviously I'm going to enable a schedule. You have obviously the frequency, and obviously for system databases, it all depends on your environment. But anytime there's a modification or a change to your environment, you should certainly take a master database backup or a system backups. You can take them obviously weekly, daily, or monthly. For our purposes, I'm going to choose daily. I'm going to go occurs every. And for our purposes, obviously, I'm just going to show you, we can see the actual activity. I'm going to actually literally do it in seconds. And you're by no means going to set it to seconds. Yours is going to be most likely on a daily basis. So I'm going to say start at 8:40. 8:40. Maybe I can squeeze it in. PM. And we'll just kill it at just 41. Maybe I can make it. And so this is going to occur every day, every 10 seconds between this allocated time starting today. And obviously, as I said, you're not going to be doing this on a production environment. But oops, there's change, so I'm going to have to change this to 41. So it gives a little more time to discuss this. So in 1 minute, it's going to start doing it. So if I go OK. One thing to notice while it's happening, you may want to change the subplan by double clicking it and just changing it. Go system backups, so you can see it a little better. And go OK, and they'll change. Another thing to notice is that you see this asterisk sign. If you see this asterisk sign next to this word design, that means it is not being backed up. As soon as I do select all backup, it disappears. So now I'm going to close this account or task, and it should be running. Another thing to notice, obviously, is that the SQL agent, server agent job has actually been produced. When you create a maintenance plan, it's actually creating jobs, and this is the job that we're going to be looking at when we talk about SQL agents. And I'll be having several videos dedicated to SQL Server Agent because this is an important aspect of SQL Agent. So obviously it's 8:41. That means the backup has been started. And we can verify it a few times, a few ways. We can go right click, view history, and you can see that the databases are starting to being backed up every 10 seconds. This is the directory. You can see that it's already being backed up with the master model every 10 seconds. And so it is working. And obviously, again, this is the default directory that it'll pass to. And if I refresh it, you'll see it again. And obviously, this is going to continue for the next six times, or five, 6 times since or actually the next 5 times, since we only allocated a minute to it. So now you can see how easy it is to automate a backup plan for your system databases. It's not something you will do manually. It is something you will let the SQL Server agent manage by creating jobs. And this is by one way of doing it through SQL management plans. Now, as I mentioned, in a production environment, most likely when you do, you won't necessarily be using maintenance plans for your user-defined databases. You'll be creating them on your own because they can get a little more complex. But the fundamentals of backing up is exactly what I'm demonstrating here. So I think I'll leave it here right now, and we'll pick it up in the next video where I'm going to show you how to create a maintenance plan that allows you to do several sub-plans. In that case, I'm going to be demonstrating you how you can take a full database backup, a differential backup, a transactional log backup, using a maintenance plan, and allocating different time schedule for each one. So I'll see you in that one. So this is Raphael, and this is how to become a production SQL database administrator.